Hey everyone, this is RetroGR Ranting. How are you guys doing? I usually don't do this. I usually don't do a mod review or something like that. This isn't really a mod review. This is just me talking about a cool little mod that came out. This is called Duke Nukem Forever 2013. And what this is, if you're looking at these screens going, what are these graphics? This does not look like 2013 graphics to me. Well, that's because it's going off of the build engine, the old Duke Nukem 3D build engine. I think it's on its 10-year anniversary or something like that. So in honor of that, what they decided to do is do a whole what-if scenario and take one of the many trailers that Duke Nukem Forever had before it came out as it did when Gearbox got a hold of it, and go off of what could have been back when Duke Nukem Forever was running off of, I think, the Unreal engine, like the Unreal Tournament engine, like Unreal Tournament 1. There was a lot of different trailers. Duke Nukem Forever was initially going to be made using the Quake 2 engine, then it moved to the Unreal engine, and then it just kept going on and on and on. Anyway, so what the developers here did was made a total conversion, that's what they used to call them back in the day, for Duke Nukem 3D. You need Duke Nukem 3D to download this mod, otherwise it's completely free. It did a what-if scenario based off of one of the earlier trailers that showed off certain NPCs and certain characters that just, and levels that maybe made it into the game, maybe didn't, and just sort of went with, hey, let's just, you know, in honor of Duke Nukem 3D and the build engine anniversary and everything, let's just make our own Duke Nukem Forever. And that's what they did. They built it, and it is really awesome. I mean, it is great to see that people are still behind this age-old build engine, and my personal opinion is probably one of the easiest level editing engines for a first-person shooter ever created. I even made levels for Duke Nukem 3D back in the day. And so it's kind of a cool nod to the old technology of build, and to prove that you could still make a really excellent game out of that build engine. And yes, it has 2.5D graphics. You're gonna have flat sprite enemies and stuff like that, and there's a few actual polygonal things in this game, but mostly it's gonna have that kind of cartoony 2D look to the characters. You know, I'm fine with that. I grew up on that. At times they do seem a little more flat than usual. I'm not really sure why. I guess got to get used to it again. So if you're a graphics snob, then you're probably not going to like this, but you probably don't own Duke Nukem 3D in the first place then. You know, this isn't Far Cry 3, you know, this isn't Crysis, this is Duke Nukem 3D, and that's what makes it so cool. Among all the things is there's new graphics, new NPCs in the game that you can interact with, lots of new tile sets, lots of new sounds. Some of the alien sound bits have been mixed around a bit. There's new music. Mostly the music is taken from other games. I think I heard Borderlands in there somewhere. The weapons have been graphically updated, but they haven't really been changed. I guess the only weapon that's new is the American Flag Assault Rifle, which is basically just a reskin of the Ripper, and it acts the same way, but it's still really cool. And what makes it really neat with this mod is they tried to throw in a lot of cool ideas. At one point, very early on in the game, you're actually driving a motorcycle through a canyon and running over aliens with it. Later on, you actually get to ride on a donkey while wielding your shotgun shooting aliens. That's right, you ride a donkey, which is pretty sweet, actually. I mean, it's just kind of hilarious. It has that Duke charm to it. All the new tile sets look great. If there was one disappointment, I would have liked a little more interactivity, some new things to interact with. You start off in Vegas, and there's slot machines, but the only thing you do to them is break them. You can't really use them or anything. You can't use the roulette wheel or anything, which is kind of a bummer. I was kind of hoping that there would be. There's like a new vending machine that you can use, but that's about it. Other little gripes about it is I found myself in the ventilation shaft a lot. There's a lot of times where you just get into a room and there's like no way out, all the doors are locked, and you're like, oh, there's a vent, climb in the vent. And so it seems like the developers of this mod use the vent to get from point A to point B a little too much. Maybe they could have been a little more creative with making some cracks in the wall so you could blow things up. But it's not a big deal. And there is a lot of key cards in this game. And it's not in an annoying sense. Most of the time key cards are really, really close to the door that they unlock in the first place. But instead of trying to think of creative ways to get from point A to point B, there's just a lot of find key card to get through door. But it's fine. A lot of it is just there to get you to the action, which there's new bad guys. There's the cyborg T-800 exoskeleton robots that you've seen in the DLC for Duke Nukem Forever, the actual Duke Nukem Forever. There's also Earth Defense Force humans that got possessed by aliens and have weird tentacles coming out of their arms and their bodies, and they're shooting at you, and they sound really creepy. Like, they have the best sound bit in the entire game, where they're just running around just sounding really, really creepy. And then when you kill them, the alien that infested them jumps out of them and tries attacking you. So that's a really cool little bit. Other than that, a lot of the other enemies that are there's new drones that fly around and shoot at you. That's pretty cool. And some of the enemies have been altered a bit, like the tank pigs, and there's also charging pig cops now, which I think there were those in Duke Nukem Forever as well. It's all really, really cool, and they put up a real good challenge. It has that old school feel, of course, because this is Duke Nukem 3D, where you have to lay into them, and you can't just stand in one place and shoot, which is another thing. Traditional FPS fans are going to love this, because guess what? There's no regen health. There's no regen armor. You have to pick up your health and your armor. Luckily, there seems to be a lot of it laying around, so you're not going to worry about it too much. So if you've really, been spoiled by FPSs nowadays that have regenning armor and health, there is a lot of health now. You just have to be smart about how you play. Other than that, this is an excellent, well-made, just gorgeous-looking game. Besides for the few gripes I said, and the fact that I wish there would have been a few more Duke sound bites thrown in here and there. Oh, and some of the NPCs that do have sound clips are really muffled for some reason. I don't know if it was just my version or what, but they just sounded like a really low-quality recording of their audio. But other than that, it's really nifty. It's a great what-if. It's kind of short, but you kind of expect that. It's about the length of most DLC missions nowadays. And I did find that the very last boss of the game kind of happened upon very abruptly. Like, all of a sudden you're like in the Hoover Dam, and then boom, you're fighting the last boss of the game. You're like, oh, I guess I'm doing that now. It's not a big deal. It's just, I would have thought there would have been more build-up to it. But the whole time feels like a build-up, because there's a lot of action, there's a lot of enemies, and the settings are really cool. Everything from abandoned town to like Hoover Dam, like I said, from Las Vegas, and you even go down into a mine at one point and ride in carts that are flowing through lava. That's pretty sweet. So it's an epic little total conversion for Duke 3D. And if you own Duke 3D, and let's face it, I don't think you can call yourself a FPS fan if you've never played or owned Duke 3D. Go ahead and go get it. Go to GOG.com, or it's even on Steam now for about, I think it's like 10 bucks. It's worth it. Try out this very professional grade total conversion for Duke 3D. But yeah, Duke Nukem Forever 2013, excellent job, guys, the people who made this. And if you are a Duke fan and you want some old school Duke 3D unadulterated, oh, what should I wait? It's Duke Nukem, for crying out loud. Of course it's adulterated. You can't say anything's unadulterated with Duke. But anyway, go check this mod out. I'll put a link down below in the description, and go have yourself a good time. Until next time, game fans, keep playing, and thanks for watching.
Come get some.